Welcome everyone to Coffee with a Codex. My name is Dot Porter and I am a curator here in the Schoenberg Institute for Manuscript Studies, which is a unit in the Kislak Center for Special Collections, Rare Books and Manuscripts in the University of Pennsylvania Libraries. SIMS, that is the Schoenberg Institute, is a research unit focused on manuscripts. We do a lot of medieval manuscripts and also manuscripts from all over the world. If you were here last week, you got to see a Sanskrit manuscript introduced by our colleague Jeff, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. You know, time. What is time? Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. So we try to be 2 weeks. Thanks, Brian. Have really good coverage in terms of geography and also temporal. And today we are looking at a 17th century Quran that was written in, let me get this correct. It was written in Malta in the year 1654. And let's go ahead and start talking or start looking at it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. And then there's a couple of other ones that I want to look at. So to start, this is in a box. It's in this little box. I like starting out in the box so you can sort of see it. It is delightfully tiny. So the box has a little flap, which is kind of fun because then we pull the book out, and the book has a very similar design to this. So it is leather with embossing in it. So it's sort of been stamped in there, and it's a similar kind of thing. So we'll pull that out, and then this is what we refer to as a type 2 binding because it has this flap on the inside, which is kind of fun because it mirrors the flap that's in the box as well. And it kind of makes it, I love these bindings because it's like a little book, a little box, like the book itself is a little box, which is nice. It protects the edge of the text block, which is neat. So immediately you will see that this is written in very tiny writing. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to see if I can, let's zoom in. See if I can get this better. There we go. So here we go. There's actually text missing from the beginning. It is a quire's worth, so one set of folded sheets that make up the book is missing. So we're sort of starting in the middle a little bit. It looks like there's been some damage over here on the right-hand side of the page, and someone has very nicely come in and replaced the text with, replaced the text, and you can tell because the ink is a little bit darker. So this is not the same ink, and I think the hand is a little bit different too. I'm gonna say more about the script in a minute. Brian is asking if it's after Gutenberg, why not printed? One thing is that it's, there were a lot of things that were written by hand after Gutenberg. Manuscripts continued to be made, and in some places are still made. I can say I read a few years ago a book about the history of printing in the Arabic script, and it was really complicated. There are ways that the Arabic script works, in particular around the way that specific letters connect or characters connect to other characters, that makes printing difficult. And that is like not modern. I think modern printing on a computer makes things a little bit easier, but like when you're talking about the kind of print that Gutenberg was using, which is like cast iron print, was difficult. So the story of Arabic printing, I don't remember the whole book, but let's say it was complicated. And I'm not I also don't know very much about the context of the Quran specifically. I don't know if there were reasons, even if printing was available, like are there reasons why you might want to write it by hand anyway? I do not know that. I'm telling you, I should have started with this. I am, as often in this series, I don't speak Arabic. I can't read Arabic. Um, what I have is access to the books. So I'm telling you as much as I know here. So let's go ahead and start taking a little bit of a look. One of the things that I love about this one is that it's just so small, and the writing is very small. It was all written by a single scribe, and we know who the scribe was because he wrote a colophon at the end, which we will take a look at. A colophon is a note that a scribe writes, basically saying, here is who I am, and here's the year sometimes, and can give a little bit more context. There are some leaves kind of popping out, which I don't love, but I'm just going to try to move past them and maybe keep them from coming out too much. And okay, Shreve Simpson is an expert, so anything she says, I'm just going to read. Let's see. A typical Islamic binding, and the rewritten words are definitely in a different hand. Printing came into the Islamic world first in Turkey with lithography. Okay, so thank you for that. It's been a while since I read that. There. So, okay. So let's pause here for a second because I do want to say something about the script. The script is Maghribi script, which is a particular kind of Arabic script that I believe was, and Shreve can tell me if I'm wrong, I think it was the sort of North African script and went up into Spain. But it's very distinctive, and this was why I got a couple of other Qur'ans specifically. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So the Qur'an, in case you don't know, and again, if there are people on the call who know more than I do, please feel free to type in the chat if I get my details wrong, is a text. It's made up of chapters or surahs, I believe they're called. And there are 114 chapters in the Quran, and I believe they start at the start, they're longer, and then they get shorter as they go along. And it was written over a course of many years, 23 years, as they were revealed to Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad. So God revealed this text over these many years, and he wrote them down, and then they were codified and sort of copied throughout. And so this is a place where we have a surah ending and another one beginning, and we get this lovely illuminated divisional marker there. So the script is this Maghribi script, and the red markings that you'll see there is pointing and vocalizing. And not being an Arabic speaker or an expert, I'm not entirely sure what that is, but it is something that you see sometimes, and sometimes it's unvocalized. So I was interested to learn earlier today when I was doing a little bit of research that the word Quran comes from the word that means to read, or I think more precisely to recite. So it comes along with this idea that it is made to be read out loud. And so the vocalizing is to help the person as they are reading it out loud. And so that makes a certain amount of sense there. So yes, so here we are. It was written in Malta. Let me go back to my, okay, I see. Okay, so Brian is correcting me. That is Brian, yes. It was written after the death of Muhammad. It was known only, so it was oral before. Okay. Oral and then written down. Yes, my knowledge of the writing versus orality of this is obviously not good. Okay, so it was written in Malta in 1654, and at the time, the island of Malta was under the control of, I want to say, the Order of the Knights of St. John. And I should have looked up what the Order of the Knights of St. John are, and I did not. But clearly it's some kind of order, some kind of, order of the Western Church. And at that time, it was under the control of the Christian Church, and Muslims were enslaved. So this was written by an enslaved Muslim there. They did have, clearly they had, they were able to practice their religion. So let me see if I can find the translation of the colophon where we get this information from. So he was able to practice he mentions a mosque in this translation, in the colophon, the scribe mentions a mosque. But what exactly that referred to, whether it was a place, because he would have been in some kind of prison, is a little bit unclear. I'm just pausing here because there's another one of these lovely illuminated markers here. So I'm going to read you. Actually, let's go take a peek at the colophon, and so we can look at it while I read the translation, which is by. So you see, I mentioned at the beginning that as we get towards the end, the surahs get shorter, and here is what you can see, sort of how much shorter they get, because we have more and more of these divisions, illuminated divisions. So let's go back here. Let's see. Here we are. So at the very end, there's quite a bit of damage with some there, like, let's see. Okay, and I've been told that the Knights of the Order of St. John are the Hospitaller Knights, which I have heard of, so there we go. So if you've heard of the Hospitaller Knights, there you go. All right, so here is the colophon. It is set apart with this really nice gold frame, and there's some kind of decoration here. Let's see if what the record says about that, if it says anything about that. A marginal medallion, but it doesn't say anything else about what it is. Okay, so the translation that I'm going to read to you is by Michael Cooperson at UCLA. So what he says is, the blessed copying of the Quran was completed with thanks to Almighty God and with his good help by the captive, the avowed sinner and insufficiently pious one, who hopes that his Lord will be merciful in whatever he decrees and foreordains for him. Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahid ibn Abd al-Qadir al-Tawati al-Maghribi al-Fasi, captive on Malta, may God destroy it, referring to Malta. The copying was completed on Thursday after the morning prayer in the mosque of the Muslims on the island of Malta, may God destroy it, on the 16th of the month of Muharram 1065. May God have mercy on the copyist and on anyone who acquires this copy, reads it, or hears it by virtue of our Master Muhammad, the guide and intercessor. I adjure you by God, O you who reads any of it or looks at it, pray for release from captivity and a death in good standing as a Muslim for its copyist. So that, I think, is quite a colophon. So yes, and as Brian is saying in the chat, Ibn means son. And I learned that from watching The 13th Warrior. So don't ever let anyone tell you can't learn something from a movie. But there we go. So that is how we know who he was and his circumstances. He did not like being in Malta, understandably. And I hope that he was able to get some kind of piece by writing out this beautiful little book, which we still have today, and it's really lovely. Let's see, more in the chat. All right, Shreve is saying the roundel in the margin is similar in type to those that project from the surah headings. Al-Maghribi in the scribe's name means that he or his family came from the Maghreb, i.e. the north part of Africa. Yeah, and that is reflected in the script as well. So he's writing in this script there. Okay, Janet is saying 1066 was the Battle of Hastings. Right. We are working in a different dating system. So 1065 in the calendar that our scribe was using is 1654, and I believe that they dated from the birth of Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, because it's about as you can see, it's about 600, not quite 600 years. No, Ahmad, tell me, what is the date from? I'm curious. It's a different dating, so we're not talking about the Battle of Hastings here. This is several hundred years after that. There we go. So this is our little book, and it has quite a good story. From the year Muhammad left Mecca to Medina. Okay, thank you very much for that. So now I know. So that's the date. Okay. So the reason that I had that I got the other two books is because I wanted to think about the script. And oh, Claire wants to see the end bands. Okay, so before we look at a different manuscript, I'm going to show Claire the end bands. So the end bands are part of the binding that sort of, I'm not actually, I'm not entirely sure what end bands are for. Isn't that awful of me? But they're at the edges here, and they're sewn onto the edges of the choir. So there is the top end band, and here I'll flip it over, and there is the one on the bottom. These are really nice. Sometimes on older books they come off. The string, the thread comes off. So there we go. So Brian is asking if they're new or original. They seem really nice to me. So they could be newer. You know what? I didn't even look to see when the binding was done, if it's original. The binding is okay. The record doesn't say anything about the dating of the binding, so I don't know if it is at all contemporary with the text block or not. But we'll probably come back to this. The reason that I wanted to show you these other ones is because of the script, and also it's kind of interesting to see. It's the same text, and I often do this, right? We look at the same text written in different places at different times, and you get to see something different. So our first little book was written on Malta by someone from the Maghreb in the Maghribi script in 1654. This one was a little bit later. This is, let me make sure I have the right one. This is MS Codex 1907. So I have that record for you in the chat. Let me drop it in again just in case anyone missed it. There we go. And this one was written between 1700 question mark and 1723, so a bit later. And there's no origin, there's no place name, so we can't place it anywhere in specifically. An inscription has the date 22 Ramadan 1135, which would be June 26, 1723. And that's on 68 recto, so we'll take a look. So initially, I wanted to show this to you to show you the difference between the Maghribi script and the Naskh script, which is the script that I see the most. And then it turned out that this is actually has some lovely little illuminations, and so does the other one. So we're going to look at a little bit of illumination, more sort of typical illumination here. So here is the opening, and I guess it's possible that the first one we looked at also initially had some kind of very decorative opening, but because it's gone, we don't really know. But here we have these gorgeous frames and the script, which is a Naskh script, which looks it looks different. It's much more upright and a little bit less curly. So Brian is asking what the pages are made of. Both of these are made of paper. It is made of paper. In the Middle East, the paper was treated. It was, I don't know if the right word is buffed. I can't remember. I took Shreve's class on Islamic manuscripts a couple of years ago, and we talked about this, that after the paper is made, it's actually rubbed with like smooth stones that makes it shiny. So that's why it looks like that. It's very distinctive. Burnished, thank you, Claire. It's quite distinctive. So that's our beautiful illuminated opening. And then here is what most of the rest of the manuscript looks like. So we have these frames, and we've looked at some other Arabic manuscripts before. We'll look at more next year as well. And there's a lot of sort of frames. We have, including this illuminated frame. Then there's the writing, and there's sort of, you can see there's gold between the lines. You can really only see when you hold it there in the light. So here I'm trying to show that a little bit. And then there are these little I don't know what to call these, but these little sort of decorative things that I think are like between the not the lines, the verses. There we go. So let's see. So there is no visible ruling here, and we've talked about it. I know that or at least I've mentioned it before, that the way that in the Middle East, the way that they did the ruling was very different from ruling in Europe. So in Europe, it was all about drawing lines, and then you write on the lines. And in the Middle East, they had frames that had string at wherever you wanted to have the lines to be, how the distance, and you would actually press the paper against the frame, and it would leave a little imprint, and you would then use that to write on that. But the imprint would go away over time, so it makes it very clean, makes it a very clean effect, which is very nice. Yes, and Shreve is saying yes, the illuminated diamonds separate the individual text verses. And Brian is pointing out that there doesn't seem to be marginalia here, so, and why that is, I don't know. Some books just don't get written in. So here's this one, and this is very pretty one. And I'll show you the other one too, because it also has some illumination. Oh, let's see, one more. There we go. It hits it just right. It's very pretty. And these are small, and I want to say that it's small because it was portable, and so you could carry it with you and always have your copy. And I think we have some that are even smaller than these, but it's always nice to have when it's an important book like this, something that you're going to want to pull out and read at a moment's notice. It's nice to have one there. All right, Shreve is calling it a ruling board. So the ruling board placed under the paper, and the paper was rubbed on top of the board. And that's how they would do the ruling here. So we've got just a minute. I'm going to close this one up. So this is 1907, MS Codex 1907. So the last one we'll take a look is MS Codex 1904. And this is not quite in good condition, at least the cover. It's also larger, you can see, so I'm going to have to zoom out again. Here we go. Actually, the whole thing is not in a great condition. But what we have is, again, we've got this type 2 binding, although this one is really fragile there. Let's open it up. This is also on paper, and this is, again, later. This one was written in Turkey in 1842, or AH 1258. Question mark, so we're not entirely sure. But it's the illuminated opening is just so nice. So here is this. I've seen this kind of decoration in other manuscripts. So this is another kind of typical, but there's a lot of gold in this just on the opening. And then when we turn the page, we're going to see something that looks very similar to the one that we just looked at. There. So Shreve is saying in the chat, yes, there are miniature copies of the Quran at Penn and in the Free Library. They are considered amulets. And when I say small, I mean like little round, even little round things. And I guess the shape of them also maybe plays a role in the sort of amulet. But they're little, and you can sort of carry. I'm not sure if we have one here, but I think I saw one at Indiana University that had a pouch, and you would actually wear it around your neck. So that fits in a lot with that, the idea of it being an amulet. This one has had some unfortunate damage. This is turned sort of green down here. I don't know if that's because maybe it wasn't gold or the gold was mixed with something. So this is a little bit, it's not as in good condition as the other one. Before we leave, I just want to say one thing about provenance, which is sort of where manuscripts come from, just so we know where these are from. So this one was a gift to Penn from Swarthmore College, which is a little liberal arts college up the road in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. It was gifted to us in 1967, probably because their library just didn't know what to do with it, and they were like, well, Penn has things like this, so we'll give it to Penn. Before Swarthmore, no clue where Swarthmore got this, which is not great, but also is sort of typical. Louise is asking about the large margins. I think that there are large margins not because they were expecting people to write in it, but because for us, maybe aesthetic reasons, I think. And there are a few little things written there, but not large amounts of notes. The other two manuscripts that we looked at were both gifts from Gordon A. Block Jr., also in the 1960s, so right around the same time these ones were. And he was a book collector who gave them to Penn. Again, before that, there's not a whole lot of information about where Gordon Block got them. I think he traveled and bought them on his travels. It is 12:31, which means time is up. But thank you so much for joining me, and we'll come back again next year. There will be more. I'll probably find more Qur'ans, more Arabic manuscripts, more Latin manuscripts, more Sanskrit, more Hebrew, all the good things. thank you so much. This is really the high point of my week, and I really, I love doing it, and I'm glad you're here. So everybody take care, have happy holidays and a good new year, and we'll see you soon.